You ever meet someone who acts like a clipboard is a weapon? Yeah, that was Patricia Hawthorne, president of our HOA, self-declared Queen of Birchwood Falls, and the woman who declared war on my wind chimes. Let me back up. 6 months ago, I moved into my grandfather's old cabin. He built it with his own hands back in the 50s. Real logs, wraparound porch, the kind of place where the air smells like pine and freedom. I traded city life for this slice of heaven after Grandpa passed. Thought it'd be peaceful. It wasn't. Turns out, I'd inherited more than just a cabin. I'd also stepped into a battlefield, one where the enemy wore pastel cardigans, drove a white Mercedes, and carried a clipboard like a crusader's sword. Patricia ran the whole like a dictator. First week I moved in, I got a violation notice. Something about non-conforming exterior would stain. Yeah, apparently. My cabin's weathered cedar didn't match the subdivision's palette of approved beige tones. Then came the pine. Needle complaint. The flagstone walkway was 2 inches too wide. My truck wasn't aesthetic. And the final straw, my grandfather's antler wind chimes, made from a buck he hunted in 1987. Patricia called them an auditory assault. I laughed at first. Thought it was a joke. At WASN single quotes T. She showed up in person one day, clipboard in hand, told me my porch swing violated seating regulations, said I owed $150 for not filing the right form. I offered her lemonade. She snapped photos from 17 angles and stormed off. That's when I knew this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a siege. But then, fate handed me a secret weapon. Jake Morrison. Old buddy from the National Guard. Big guy, calm, sharp. Just so happened to be a deputy sheriff. His lease ended. I had a spare room, and next thing you know, his cruisers. In the driveway. Patricia lost it. Voicemails, emails, late-night rants about firearms in family neighborhoods. She acted like we were forming a militia. Then came the day it all snapped. Jake had left early for work, or so she thought. What Patricia didn't see was that he came back an hour later, through the trail behind the cabin. Meanwhile, I was out back splitting firewood when I heard the front screen door slam. And then, her voice. High, shrill, echoing through the cabin like a siren. She was shouting about building codes, citizen inspection rights, opening drawers, taking pictures, narrating her trespass like she was hosting her own reality show. I was about to head in, but Jake got there first. He stepped out from behind the fireplace, 6'4", badge gleaming, hat low, didn't raise his voice, didn't need to. Patricia, he said, you just committed criminal trespass on a law enforcement officer's property, without a warrant, without permission, and without the good sense God gave a turnip. She froze, like she'd been unplugged. Then she turned and ran, and I mean ran, tripped over her own sandal, left it wedged in the door, dove into her Mercedes and peeled out like she was fleeing a crime scene. Jake and I sat on the porch swing after that, drank coffee, watched the wind chimes move in the breeze. He filed a report, not because he wanted to press charges, just for the record. But that was all it took. Within hours, the HOA president, Robert Kellerman, a retired judge, called me personally, apologized, said there'd be a meeting. By sunset, Patricia was facing a no-confidence vote. She tried to justify it all with a PowerPoint presentation titled When Initiative Meets Necessity. She really used stock photos of concerned citizens. It was painful, didn't matter. Kellerman shut her down, cited real laws, not the ones she made up. The vote, unanimous, except for Patricia raising her own hand like that would help. That should have been the end. But karma wasn't done yet, because Jake's report, that went to the district attorney. Patricia pled down to a misdemeanor, got sentenced to community service, building homes for Habitat for Humanity, homes with vinyl siding, chain link fences, stuff she'd once called aesthetic pollution. Her husband Carl, the guy who paid for her legal tantrums, had had enough, filed for divorce, froze her accounts. The Mercedes, gone. Real estate license, suspended. Her staging business collapsed overnight. And me, I got $50,000 in legal settlement money. I donated it to the local animal shelter, in her name. Now Patricia gets fundraising calls asking if Mrs. Hawthorne would like to sponsor a rescued beagle. Her mugshot ended up on the Birchwood Falls community Facebook page. Some anonymous hero named Justice Wind Chimes posted it. Still don't know who that was. The final blow came at the next HOA meeting. Sandra Chen, the new president, abolished half of Patricia's ridiculous rules. She gave me a lifetime exemption from architectural guidelines. They even named the walking trail behind my cabin Crawford Path after Grandpa. And Patricia, she sat in the audience, couldn't speak, couldn't vote, could barely hold her notes. Eventually, she broke down, walked out, left the papers behind. Someone later posted them online. They were mostly complaints about other people's lawn heights. Last week, I got a plain envelope. No return address. Inside, just 2 words, written in purple ink. I'm sorry, it's on my fridge now. Next to Grandpa's photo, held up with a magnet shaped like a bear. The cabin stands unchanged. The antler wind chimes still sing. And right beside them, a new chime made from laminated HOA citations, strung together by Sandra herself. When the wind hits just right, they clatter together like a hymn of poetic justice. And every time I hear it, I smile, because that's the sound of peace, of boundaries respected, and of one clipboard losing to common sense.